Hello, School District of Waukesha Teaching and Learning Board. I'm excited to present to you the information that Melissa Yao and I were able to gather for our curricular design adoption at the elementary level for math resource. We have come to you in the previous months. We've talked about how we've narrowed the field and we've now gotten it down to the two programs that we piloted, both iReady and Bridges. As you can see on the results of the screen that's in front of you, iReady was by far the overwhelmingly selected program to be implemented by our district next year. And during this presentation, I want to go through what were some of the pieces that teachers pointed out and highlight some of those key features. So first of all, as you may recall, we looked at Ed Reports review, and you can see here that as far as iReady goes, it received perfect scores within the Ed Reports. Secondly, this is the rubric that we used to evaluate both Bridges and iReady to determine which one really would meet the needs of our district. You will see as we go through, we just took a section from each area like rigor and balance and teacher supports that we felt were important to highlight for you right now. So the first one we looked at was the rigor and balance. And we put in here that materials give attention throughout the year to individual standards that set an expectation for procedural skill and fluency. We know that we want students to be able to have an understanding of the standards, but they also need to have some of that fluency that we always hear being so important. And as you can see, iReady definitely meets this criteria. The iReady structure that helps us to get to this rigor and balance about fluency is their multiple day lessons. You can see that day 1, they have the explore, and day 2, 3, 4 are for the develop. In those develop sessions, this is where the students are engaged in creating, discussing, and comparing the different strategies to solve a problem. They are allowed to think critically about new mathematical ideas during this section. And the develop sections do this try it, the discuss it, and connect it sequence. So there's a very specific way that they develop, and kids get to know this process. Finally, on day 5, you have the refine section, and this is where the teacher can start to see what do students already know, and then they can make accommodations for if they already know it. They can give them some challenge activity or personalize their learning through the iReady app, or they can go back to a reteach or reinforce. So this is where they can start to build that understanding or work on fluency. Along with the structure of iReady, I wanted to share some of the feedback that we got from teachers as well as students. So a fourth grade student said, I like it. That I like that we can get home and bring math work or go home and bring math work. I likes the part where teachers read the sentence and then we all read it, then we read it silently by ourselves. It helps us with finding things in our sentence to help us. And so they really go through some strategies to follow when solving word problems. As far as a second grade teacher, they said that the learning progression is presented at the beginning of each unit. The skill is presented, it's repeated throughout each session, which gives you that developing or that deepening understanding. And so students really can work through that process. The second area I wanted to highlight were the teacher supports, specifically about providing information for all stakeholders, meaning students, parents, or caregivers about the program, and suggestions how they can support student progress and achievement. And I think this is an important part because we know our parents want to be involved. They want to know what their students are doing in our math program. So as you can see, first of all, they do give a parent letter, and that happens with each lesson. And that would go home approximately once every week. They also have the family help site, which is right here, and they give all sorts of information as well as activities, family guides, videos, so if you want to watch it. And the other part that I think is just a real benefit for our community is this website, as you can see up in the corner, I can just click a button and it will translate it into, or it'll put it into Spanish. And you'll see up here, you probably can't see it real well, but there's a pull down menu that you can select several different languages. So if students are or parents are coming from another country, they could go to their language so that they can help their students at home or understand what their students are doing within our school district. As far as the comments from students and parents, um, a math coach said, the parent lesson letters come in many languages. I like that there is a letter with every lesson, which is roughly weekly, rather than just at the beginning of the unit, which is what we currently do. The models and activities in the letter support student learning. So it'll give them some parents' ideas of what they can do at home. Another thing that a student said is, I liked it a lot. I liked the try it a lot. Plus, I like that we did it with a teacher. I like the take-home things to do with a parent. So the student was excited to take things home as well. And I think that's always an added benefit. The next one I wanted to focus on was assessments. And this is one of the strong points for iReady. The assessment system provides multiple opportunities throughout the grade, course, and/or series to determine what students are learning and give guidance to our teachers about their performance. And so on the next slides, we've shared these things before, but I just want to highlight them one more time. You can see here that with the iReady, we will be getting the diagnostic assessment, which is given 1 to 3 times per year. This will give information to our teachers. They also have unit assessments, mid-unit assessments, and comprehension checks for the units. They have lesson quizzes, so you can see where students are at. They even have checkups within each day. So teachers are going to really be able to monitor what students know and what are the next steps. When you look at the reports we can get, here's an iReady math diagnostic report. And so when you look at this, you're going to be able to find out various information. This report right here on the right-hand side is just really helpful because I can see, and this is not our students, obviously, it's just a sample that iReady provides us. But you can see you're going to be able to find out percentile rank, but you're going to find out where they are performing. And they break it down into strands. So if I'm going into a numbers and operations, or if I'm going into a measurement and data, I can look and see which students are where. Oftentimes now we just get a percentile, but this will get those percentiles, but we'll even be able to break it down further to see that, oh, this student may be at a higher percentile, but they still need to work on measurement and data specifically, or they are at a third grade level. So it just gives a lot of information for our teachers. And then they have this prerequisite report, which helps teachers so that if I'm going to go into a unit, I can look at that. And from their diagnostic, it's going to tell me who needs more work or who I need to meet with to get them ready for the module or the unit I am coming up with next. There are reports we can send home with the parents. So families will get a report of what their students are doing as well as at a district level, you're going to be able to get diagnostic results. And so I can get it for my classroom. I could get it for a school. I could get it for a comparison view if we're looking at it from a district level. And so all of these will give us information to help know where we are standing within our standards. As far as the assessments and responses, some of the things we found out from teachers, students didn't really comment on the assessments too much, but as far as teachers, love the diagnostic, very specific and gives personalized information for each student's needs. Each 4 to 5 day lesson ends with a quiz that gives the student teacher information on students' understanding. There are exit slip opportunities each day as well that can be used for formative assessment. So we oftentimes talk about formative and summative assessments. it's built right in. There is no guessing about what you need or could look at to determine how students are doing. Another fifth grade math teacher says that there's multiple assessments through the program. They can take that diagnostic that levels them into specific grade level umbrellas. It can inform the teacher about the prerequisite lessons in that report that I just showed you and what lessons may be challenging. It gives you the formative summative assessment, lesson quizzes, mid units, self-reflections, and allows students to view their students' personalized learning progress. So you can see how students are doing in the moment with their iReady app. As far as extensions, materials provide extensions and opportunities for students to engage with grade level, course level mathematics at a higher levels of complexity. We know that all of our students are not at the same level of understanding in math, and this curriculum does a nice job of differentiating for the different students. We wanted to highlight some of the extensions they offer, and you can see that in this page. So you're going to see on most pages, you're going to find a differentiated instruction, and they have an extend activity that teachers could do in the moment. But beyond that, they also have enrichment activities and learning centers, and they really break it down. So students will look like they're doing similar activities, but each one is based at a level of what the student needs. So you can see down at this bottom picture, if the student is on level, this would be the activity or the center I might want them to work at. If they're below level or they're struggling a little bit more, I could go here and the above level. And these are questions that are not just necessarily the size of the numbers or the range of the numbers. They go more in depth or more critical thinking that students will have to put a little bit more time in as they go to the different levels. They also have enrichment activities that students or that teachers can give students to do, and that gives them the challenges. So they do provide different ideas for teachers, as well as even in the small group lessons. You know, they have features as to, okay, I'm going to pull some small guided groups. I'm going to do my challenge activity or this enrichment activity with those students who already may know the content. As far as student responses when it comes to this, a first grade math teacher, iReady, does provide an extension activity and an enrichment activity found online and under the lesson to help extend the students. They can work on their own individual pathway, which gives them just right learning. And if a way to manage students could play above, if there is a what, let me change that phrasing a little bit. It can allow a teacher to manage students so they could play above level grades. The amount of individualization and scaffolding of this curriculum offer is impressive, and this is from a fifth grade math teacher. For starters, the MyPath journey that my students are on is so user-friendly and the kids love it. It is also working on skills that they individually need at this point in time in math. On top of this, the way they have their program set up is very competitive and helps my students to continue to want to do more within the program. With this, they get some coins, and with those coins, they can buy, quote unquote, buy a game for that lasts. A student told me the other day, it's only like a 30-second game, but they're really excited to play that game. And then on top of this, the amount of scaffolds that the program offers with partner activity options that are scaffolded, independent activities, and small group ideas that are already scaffolded, it was easy for this teacher to pull for what her students needed and pick and choose from a variety of choices. So again, I think this program does a nice job of providing for that differentiation. A fifth grade or a fourth grade student, excuse me, said, I think they are a little hard. I was talking about iReady. I think they're a little hard, but they make my brain stronger. So students recognize they're having to push themselves a little bit, but they also have that growth mindset to know like, this is good for my brain. Another area I wanted to highlight was about the language. Materials provide strategies and supports for students who read, write, or speak in other languages or in a language other than English to regularly participate in learning grade level mathematics. And you can see here there wasn't even a 1, 35 gave it a 3, that it fully met this criteria. 13 said it was a 2 for partially meeting it. And one of the things that's really supportive, not just of our dual language classrooms, but all students, is the language piece of this. And so on the left-hand side, you can see they talk through the different levels that students may have for their productive and receptive language. And this would mean reading, writing, speaking, writing. And there's different levels that correlate with where are students within their language development. And again, it's not just on English, but even thinking about language, where are they with their sentence structure? What do they need for supports? The other part that's exciting in this program for our dual language specific teachers, they will get a Spanish lesson plan book, and you can easily see what they're going to be saying. They have the parts in English, but then they tell our teachers exactly what they're going to say as far as the language, which I think was huge for our dual language classrooms in the 4 buildings, because teachers could focus in on what do students need and not spend time on the translations if they were all written in English and thinking about how would they say that in Spanish. The other part that I heard is just the language development is really strong within this program. So looking at this supports that students have, it offers many opportunities for them to be supported in language. It's specific specific supports and strategies given throughout a lesson, and there are suggestions of how to get student to student questioning, how to introduce academic vocabulary, how to support misconceptions, and lots of visuals. And so here I have a student that was working with an aide and the teacher with understanding ways to build 5, if I'm not mistaken, or 10. And then some of our classroom teachers, I've been giving you some quotes from students. They did an Excel sheet or a form with the older kids, but this one was a 3rd grade teacher that actually had the students writing it out. I enjoyed the lessons, and learning was exciting. I don't think I want to change anything. I liked how it was. And I learned how to do subtracting with adding and adjusting numbers. And so they showed their work here. The final area I want to look at is intentional design. Materials integrate the technology, such as interactive tools, virtual manipulatives, dynamic mathematics, to help students meet their standards. When we look at this, the intentional design can be seen throughout iReady. They have the Classroom Central, so teachers are going to be able to get a digital portal where they can access the things that are in their manual, but they could access it from home, so they're not taking the manual back and forth. There's the student digital experience that comes with the technology, and so they will have a digital student work test, but we will be focusing mainly on the paper pencil text with our students. They have family resources or the family website. They have just session videos. So I know a couple of teachers, when they were piloting, if they were going to be absent, they could go and pull up a session video that was ready that the substitute teacher could use. So students moved right on or moved forward, even if the teacher wasn't available for the day. They have the digital math tools, as well as those interactive learning games and interactive practice. So students are going to be able to have the My Learning Path, which is going to adjust depending upon their diagnostic assessment, but also they have games and activities that teachers can have them do, which would help support their thinking. So within this program, if we would go with this, the idea is if we go with iReady, we will not need the Dreambox or the Matific. So we're going to one resource versus having different resources that students have to do. As far as the intentional design, things that we can see, fifth grade teachers said the personalized digital resources was enjoyable. The interactive tutorials were engaging. The manipulatives were helpful, and that some students expressed that being required to finish the lesson and not have the option of skipping was good for them. So if they're on the My Learning path, they have to finish it so that they can move forward, which teachers and students felt like that was good for them to continue to have to grow that brain. They enjoyed the games, and there's a My Progress bar so they can monitor their thinking. They can know their math lesson stats, their time on task, lessons they have passed, so they really can monitor how they're doing. A couple of fourth grade students stated the online app was helpful by taking me through talking me through the whole problem. So it's going to work through it with them. And then the second one, which backs that up, I like that it gives very specific instructions to help me with things that I am struggling with. So if I get something that I'm not sure what to do or I give a wrong answer, it's going to provide me some guidance or things to think about so I can really start to revise my thinking. So, getting to professional development plan for the first year of implementation. What we're looking at is this summer to do during the summer introduce the new math resource, as well as work with iReady to create a couple of summer alternatives. The literacy program did that this past summer, and that was very well received. So once we know where we're moving forward or get approval, we will meet with iReady to see if we can do some of those same options with our teachers in math. In October, there will be a second touch point of professional learning with our professional development time that's allocated. January, we will have the Winter Institute so we can continue to deepen that understanding. We know that there will be questions that come up throughout the year and the need for continuous professional development. So this allows for that, as well as building PD and coaching. So our math coaches will be out in buildings and supporting teachers as they work through this new implementation. As far as the costs for iReady, the cost that you're seeing on the screen is really for 6 years. What iReady did for us was they gave us the 5-year cost, but gave us the 6th year for free. So it's going to be for 6 years. We would get the iReady Math Diagnostic, which is that assessment that they do at the beginning of the year to get all the information to help guide their lessons from there on out. It includes the student digital experience, which you heard about, the individualized practice, the math games, the digital math tools. It includes all Spanish and English teacher materials for teachers, as well as digital access for teachers and students. So that was the part where teachers could just access it at home and not have to take their manual back and forth. There would be consumable math or student materials. There are approximately, I want to say, 2 books for each student at each grade level that they will be using. And then professional development days with iReady consultants, and of course the shipping. So with that is our recommendation that we will move forward with. And in May, we will be back here to ask for approval from the board. But right now, we would love to take your questions. I have a few teachers that would like to speak during the presentation. So you'll hear from Rachel Elliott, which is the 2nd grade dual language teacher at Banting. Abby Burton is with us. She is the 5th grade teacher at STEM Randall, and Rachel Borio, who's one of the math coaches that works at a dual language building of higher, as well as the Randall STEM. So we're happy to take your questions and give you any more information that you would like. Thank you.